Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I've just watched episode 6, I believe, of Marvel's What If, and this one is what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark in that very first Iron Man movie. Now we're gonna get back to this, but you know, originally the idea of what if, at least as I understood it, was going to be, you know, one small change, you know, ripple effects and cause this whole other thing. And this is like the multiverse. So, you know, I've had a little bit of confusion between what a different universe is versus what a different timeline is, and how those two things are like, while they kind of seem like they're similar concepts, they're actually like entirely different. You know, and that's kind of how I've been wrestling with the Doctor Strange thing from a couple of weeks back. Now this episode, it's what if concepts. We'll get back into it, but it's kind of complicated. So, all right, but basically, yes. What if Killmonger saved Tony Stark? And of course, that means he never created the arc reactor. He never started working on the Iron Man suits. And Obadiah Stane's plan, because remember, it was his plan that Tony Stark get killed, not kidnapped, but like he was supposed to die. You know, that was a whole thing about it. And basically, you know, Killmonger says that he was undercover and he saw the 10 rings being contracted to kill Tony Stark, and it was Obadiah Stane's thing. So they take care of the Obadiah Stane problem pretty much immediately, which was an interesting choice. I completely forgot that, like, oh, that's right, they'll have to take care of Obadiah. But they pretty much immediately take care of that. And you can see how Killmonger manipulates pretty much everyone around him, which makes him such a fascinating villain, because, you know, he has this drive of, you know, it's not just simple revenge for his father and everything like that, but it's like a whole systemic thing that's just driving him to tear everything down. And you can see as he does it very successfully throughout this entire episode. You know, he teams up with Iron Man, and he basically through that he's able to start a war against Wakanda, and then he's able to infiltrate Wakanda and basically fight against the war that he started, you know, and make himself look like the hero of the situation, when really it was, of course, you know, he's the one that trained the drones that Tony created. And it's just this really, really fascinating, I almost want to say Palpatine-esque thing, you know, where it's like, oh, he started the war on the other side and he came over here, and now he's like, oh, we have to stop these guys, you know. So it was really, really cool. So a couple things is that, well, first, the meeting where everything really goes wrong, where Killmonger kind of finally shows his cards, at least to some people who he immediately kills. He convinces Tony that, like, oh, hey, let's get Rhodey and let's try to set up a meeting with what's his name? Oh, Ulysses Claw, yeah, that guy. Andy Serkis's character. They're like, let's try and set up a meeting with him, buy some vibranium for these drones that we're creating. And then, of course, he shows up himself, Killmonger, and I'm sorry, Black Panther shows up. T'Challa shows up, and I believe this might be one of the last. This might be one of the last performances that we got. There might be one more. I think they said there was like 4 total. Yeah, Chadwick Boseman's performances. I think there might be one more after this, I believe. How many have we had? 1, 2. Yeah, this is the 3rd one, so there might only be one more. But yeah, Chadwick Boseman shows up, T'Challa, and they end up using that exact same, like, paralyzer thing, which, by the way, we haven't seen that paralyzer thing show up since Iron Man 1. It kind of seems like a very useful tool they could have used at some point, but I don't know, maybe it's just more of a bad guy thing, so they just didn't use it. But Killmonger basically takes out everyone in that room except for Claw, who he will basically just saves for later to get him into Wakanda, and takes out Claw also. So Killmonger betrays and manipulates every single person in here, including when he gets in Wakanda, you know, kind of gets on the good side of the, you know, the king and the queen and everyone. and he tricks almost everybody except for Shuri. You know, Shuri's the only person that he does not manage to trick, because by the end of the episode, Shuri goes to Pepper Potts and says, look, I have proof that he killed Tony Stark, that he set all this up. You know, basically he set up this war, and now he's fighting on the other side of Wakanda as the good guy, as the new Black Panther. And of course he's just lying to everyone. I gotta say, this was really entertaining. This was like, I loved the, you know, it's just this unraveling of like, what is Killmonger's plan, you know, and in the way that it was all like these master strokes, you know, of playing everybody. You know, and of course he's dealing with a Tony Stark who did not learn the lessons that he learned from being captured, you know. So it's not a you know, it's still like this overconfident, you know, playboy Tony Stark, where he's like, oh yeah, I can totally, you know, I can just sit here in this room and activate a drone and try and get you back for killing Rhodey. Which of course, you know, him just standing there ends up leading to him dying because he gets you know, he gets stabbed by a spear. So there's just a lot of interesting things happening in this episode, and I really enjoyed this. And it just kind of, you know, again proves that like the Killmonger character, it was just really well done. You know, he's just such a good manipulator of things, and he you know, it's all for, you know, a cause, you know, and obviously he's not going about it the right way, but you know, it's sort of a just cause in a way, you know, of like burning down this system of oppression, but in his, you know, in his kind of this deformed thinking about it way, you know, and they even have like a little bit of a discussion with that before Rhodey dies, where he's like, you gotta work in the system in order to change the system. And then he's like, no, you can burn it all down. And then he starts, you know, he kills Rhodey, of course. Something else I really enjoyed was that when they're designing the drones, Tony Stark comments like, oh, okay, that's pretty, that's a pretty bold design. And he's like, what? I'm an anime fan. Which of course Michael B. Jordan is famously a big anime fan. Even in the movie Black Panther, his armor, his combat armor was designed after the Vegeta Saiyan armor. So I thought that was pretty cool that they put that in there, and they even made like a Gundam joke out of it. Pretty cool. Now my only issue about this is that like the what if in question, you know, like what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark, I guess it's still just like one character's decision, but like the idea now is that, oh, he was undercover in the Ten Rings and he saw that that Obadiah Stane had paid to kill Tony, and he made the decision to stop it. So now I'm like, okay, so does that mean that in the main MCU was he still undercover and just decided not to stop it, or was he not undercover at all with the Ten Rings? You know, like I want to know that backstory, because that's really where the change in this universe happens. That's really like what makes this version of the story happen, is that like he was somehow undercover with the Ten Rings. So I'm just kind of curious of like how this really got set up, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It's just like it just happened. It just did. It doesn't matter how or why, it just did. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. This was a good one. You know, it's kind of funny that like the zombies one feels like it would have been the easiest one to be like, oh man, you know, it was zombies, it was awesome. And yet somehow it feels like the zombies episode, last week's episode, is the more forgettable of all of these. You know, it feels like you got you know, to me it feels like Doctor Strange, and then this episode, I think this might be my second favorite episode now, and then maybe that murder mystery one. And you know, it's kind of funny how like I thought the zombie one was going to be the best one, but no, this one was pretty great. I definitely didn't know what direction they were going to go with all this, but yeah, Killmonger basically just, you know, he, with one decision, he could have easily kind of handled a lot of major players in the MCU. Now I will say this, they you know, I'm assuming this all took place around 2008, 2009 still, because of course, eventually you would still have to deal with the Hulk and Thor showing up, and Nick Fury, I'm sure, is gonna, you know, like, hey, I'm gonna start up the Avengers. You know, so I'm sure a lot of that type of stuff would have had to have been run into Killmonger, and who knows how that would have all played out. You know, I have to imagine that Nick Fury would not be as easily manipulated and fooled as everyone else seemed to be. And you know, and Shuri and Pepper Potts, they discovered the truth. So, you know, a lot of these episodes I kind of want a part 2. And some people mentioned that maybe they're gonna do it for season 2. They're gonna come back and follow up some of these episodes, which I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah. Also, last thing before we get out of here, they released a small trailer for the remainder of these episodes, and they showed even more footage of some of these characters meeting each other. For example, I'm pretty sure I saw Captain Carter fighting a zombie, you know. So you know, still in this season, it might not even be until like the last episode, maybe, I don't know, but we still have some sort of crossover thing happening. Some sort of overall plot is going to start up. You know, I don't know if they're saving that for, I think there's 9 episodes, so we only have like, what, 3 episodes left, 2 episodes left, something like that. So I don't know when they're gonna start with all this. Like, I thought that was gonna be like the main through line of this whole show, was like, oh, they're all connected, but that just still has not been the case. So that might be like a very last minute thing, and then maybe that's what season 2 is. Maybe season 2 is all these universes are now kind of breached and they're all connected to each other. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know any, I don't know, theories you have about how these universes might start connecting together. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.